Good afternoon and welcome. I'm Karen Marsdale, President, CEO of the Greater Reading Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And welcome to Member Spotlight. This is an opportunity for us to really get a chance to talk to our members up close and personal, because each one of them has a great story. They're doing different things, and sometimes we even learn things about what they're doing. And it's exciting, particularly when it's a new and relatively new business like the one that I'm talking to right now. So, Al Dallao, did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did, Karen.
Yes, and I know Al's wife better than I do know Al, and she's really also out there in the community talking about the business, and she's very excited. So you took a step, which I think is amazing. You decided to go into business for yourself.
Yes, we did.
And that was a step of faith and a step of really believing in yourself and I'm sure you did a lot of research before you made the choice of what business you were going to be in. And the name of the business is ARCPoint Labs of Reading. And really what you say is it's a solution for business and individuals. But it's a little bit more than that, because that could be a lot of different things. So talk to us, if you would, a little bit about what does that mean, that you're a solution for businesses and you're a solution for individuals.
Our focus, Karen, is on workplace solutions for businesses, specifically around drug-free workplace policy, as well as the solutions that an employer may be looking for in terms of the types of testing that is available out there, and also to come in and help them develop a workplace policy, especially for small and medium-sized businesses that may not have the resources that some of the larger corporations may have. We're a natural fit for that. In addition, some of the individual services, we support individual testing for people that may be in a legal situation. We also provide DNA services for people that have requirements for possibly relationship or maybe even infidelity type testing. So again, our major focus is in the employee workplace, but we do provide solutions for the community and the individuals that may need our services.
Sure, and I think these are some of the things that we just went through a process at the Chamber, because it's not called a merger, although I hate to say that there's any other word that we've been using other than that, with two other economic development agencies on our floor. And one of the things that the three execs of the organizations were tasked with is to look at the handbook, look at the benefits, make sure that we now that we're all one, we have one handbook, that it covers the gamut. And I think it's a challenge today for employers rather, because we had the opportunity to work with an HR professional, and make sure that we covered all the bases and crossed the T's and dotted the I's. But when it comes to some of these things like you're talking about, which are not always easy, if there's drug testing based on what the business is, obviously if you're driving a forklift truck or driving a truck or handling certain things. And I know that that's not all you do, but there can be challenges. It can be overwhelming. It can be overwhelming to, and particularly you said small to medium-sized employers, because they're trying to just work on the business. Whatever it is that they're doing, whatever it is that they're producing, or whatever it is that they're doing in terms of what they're offering their customer or client, then they've got all this other stuff that they've got to work on. So I imagine you go in and try to make it as simple and yet, keeping everything legitimate and, because there's regulations.
No, you're correct. And we spend quite a bit of time with educating our clients on what's available out there in terms of testing, and then also going through their policy. And it's more than just a pre-employment test. There's issues around what do they do when they have a suspicion of somebody that might be under the influence of either drugs or alcohols. What happens if somebody is in a workplace accident? Do they have the right to test that individual or don't they? So there's quite a bit of background and information that we try to provide employers. And then at the very last step, we're always there, a phone call away if they have a question. Recently we had a small employer call in a panic because he had an employee show up that he thought was under the influence. He asked us what to do. We actually came out to the site and sat down with him and went over his policy to make sure that he was allowed to test that employee. As it turned out, the employee refused to be tested, and lo and behold, in the policy, that was considered an offense that could be the employee could be terminated under.
And I would imagine that no two cases are alike.
No.
So it makes for interesting an interesting day, but it also makes for you to have to be one step ahead of that.
No, that's correct, and the advantage of working with ARCPoint Labs of Reading, we are part of a franchise group. ARCPoint has over 100 locations nationwide, and so we have quite a bit of horsepower behind us in terms of people that can consult with us and make sure that we're up to speed with the most recent requirements and regulations that are out there for drug and alcohol testing. And
we definitely had, a period of time in the last number of years where there were just a lot of overreach, I think, in regulation. And that is not to say that there is, I think ultimately the workplace has to be safe for all people, and so therefore there are just things that need to be addressed. So was this something that you had determined, or were you looking at anything or everything in terms of getting into business for yourself?
We actually, both Anne-Marie, the co-owner, my wife, and I, both were looking for opportunities, mainly because of where we were at. I had recently been downsized from an electronics company here locally, and she was in a position where she wasn't necessarily happy with what she was doing. So we actually enlisted the support of a franchise consultant, and the franchise consultant provided us with a handful of different opportunities to look at, and we did quite a bit of due diligence and research, and then we basically settled on this particular business model. We liked the challenge of the business. We felt it was something that we could make a difference in the community, not just in the workplace environment, also in the community as a whole. And so we embarked on a franchise model. And the nice thing about a franchise model is it can be pretty much a turnkey operation. So you're not spending a lot of time being a general contractor or trying to pull together resources like suppliers. The model is there, you just have to implement it. Right,
and I think that the reality of making mistakes and having to go back and do things differently, definitely that risk is more mitigated with a franchise, and I think what is also you made a point of, and I know from Anne-Marie I've heard, you are just a phone call away. And I think sometimes that may not be the case with larger entities.
Yes.
So I think that's another value added that you really can maximize, because there are, we just had a conversation with another employer and said, small business is really the engine that runs this economy in this country, and so small business needs those resources like you can provide at probably when they need it, and much more information than a larger company that has this huge HR department and everybody's got a specialty in something. So so I thank you. I think it's great, and we're out there to make sure that people know about you, and that those calls keep coming in, so that quite soon you're going to say, well, gee, it's time to hire the next person, and before you know it, you're going to be outgrowing space, and things will be just exactly but you've done the right things. You've done your due diligence. You've looked at the business model, and it's great. So you're a perfect example of what folks should be doing when they start to engage in thinking about owning their own business. So I wish you all the best. Whatever we can do for you, we're just a phone call away too. So, and we've got great resources at the Chamber. I was just actually talking with, I was on your side of the table with Service Corps retired executives, although they don't call themselves that anymore, it's SCORE. but great resources of really smart people, and at no charge. So there's lots to be offered at the chamber too, with folks like yourself. So I think it's a good synergy. So thank you for taking time out of your day. I'm sure you've probably got a couple of calls waiting for you to go solve some issues. But I really do appreciate, Al, that you come in. So thank you, and the best of luck.
No, thank you, Karen, and we look forward to supporting not only yourself but all the chamber members for many years to come.
Thank you. Sounds great.